selecting the field and strength of schedule was a major component, we might see more games like Oregon LSU last year. The Ducks lost, but wouldn't the committee have taken the Pac-12 champions over higher-ranked Stanford, considering Oregon blew out the Cardinal, and the difference in their overall record came because the Ducks took the challenge of playing LSU.
Hi, Duck fans. As of today, it is the official beginning of the 2012-2013 season for the Oregon Ducks. Will it be even better than last year? Well, that's a tall order, but we can certainly hope. While no Oregon sports are active right now, there is still lots of news to cover. First, in basketball, there was a rule change that now allows coaches to work with players over the course of the summer, which is potentially a huge deal, especially for the Ducks with such a young team and new players being plugged in. Coach Altman now gets to spend extra time with the players, and it's been a roster of patchwork from the day that he came in, so as much practice time as possible as they can get is vitally important for the upcoming season. Football had a bit of news as well, as word came down about a position switch for one particular player, Christian French. French was recruited as a tight end, but reportedly he's now been moved to defensive end. This isn't an unprecedented move by any means, as the two positions are very similar as far as the type of athlete that they pursue. You need the same kind of body structure, and it's happened at Oregon before. In 2006, when the defensive line was just depleted with injuries, the young tight ends Brandon Bear and Ed Dixon both switched over to defensive end to fill out the roster. Dixon had a sack, and Bear was so good at it, he ended up staying there, becoming quite a good defensive lineman in his own right by nature of the fact that he's now playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. More recently, Dion Jordan was recruited as a tight end out of Arizona and was switched to defensive end, and now he's really grown into that role. He's probably the best defensive end in the Pac-12 this year going into his senior campaign. So French is going to need to add a little bit more weight, but if Coach Azanaro is able to do with him what he did with molding Dion Jordan, hey, it's a perfect fit. It does mean taking a look at the depth chart, though. The concern being that tight end is already a position, very little experience. Laiola is the only one who's actually played in a game, and not a ton of depth in the wake of Curtis White being forced to retire due to repeated injuries. So even though there's incoming freshman Pharaoh Brown, that's a position of concern. And defensive end is one that has quite a crowd already. In addition to the returning starters, there's redshirt freshman Lekko Ka'ai, who was very highly touted coming out of Hawaii, and incoming freshman DeForest Buckner, along the same lines, very highly touted, may actually get some playing time as a freshman alongside, of course, the five-star blue chip guy that is a very large human being, Eric Armstead. Football recruiting has been red hot as well. The Ducks have racked up 4 verbal commits just in a little over the past week, the most recent being one of the top kickers in the country, reportedly having the strongest leg in the nation, Matt Logan. Now, it's an interesting pickup in that Beard and Maldonado are both still on the roster, but Rob Beard, he's had some disciplinary issues and he was hurt for parts of last year, and Maldonado, being the place kicker, fair or not, he's kind of become the whipping boy for frustrated fans ever since his miss in the final seconds of the USC game. Something maybe he really doesn't deserve all the hate over, but it's there. So this move in bringing in Wogan, if he ends up signing an LOI with Oregon, is an interesting choice in that both Beard and Maldonado are still on the roster. But if you can get the guy with the strongest leg in the nation to kick the ball out the back of the end zone on kickoffs every time, hey, why not? But all the really big news from this past week has been surrounding track and field, what with the U.S. Olympic trials wrapping up and word that Oregon track and field coach Vin Lananna is stepping down from his position as track coach to take on a new role at the University of Oregon. The complete details of his new role are not yet fully out there, but the early word is that assistant coach Robert Johnson is going to be taking over the track teams, and Lananna is going to be spending more time on big picture projects, like expanding Hayward Field with more permanent structures that bring it out to a 20,000 seat capacity to permit it to reach the criteria required to host national championships, as well as possibly making it the permanent location for the track and field Olympic trials. Now, as for the trials themselves, it's been a lot of high drama at Hayward, especially for Duck runners. Jordan Hesse, unfortunately, did not qualify, but Galen Rupp made an epic comeback down the stretch to win one of his races.
For home, Lavong is third, Bumbelow fourth. Coming to the home straightaway. Rupp and Legat come stride. It's Rupp on the inside, Legat on the outside, and Legat surges to the front and now starts to pull away. Here's Bernard Legat, 37 years old, racing for the finish, but Rupp's not done yet. He's coming back. It's Rupp to win it. Legat second and Lavong third.
What an amazing finish.
Andrew Wheating also had a similar finish in a heat. Rachel Yurkovich qualified for the A standard and is London bound in the javelin, so congratulations to her. Andrew Wheating and Matt Centrowitz are also making it to the Olympics in the 1500 based on their performances on Sunday. And word came through that Brianne Thiessen qualified for the Olympics, but for the Canadian team. She's not an American, but she'll always be a Duck. The strangest event of the trials is really going to be wrapping up almost a postscript of the Olympic trials at Hayward Field. Last weekend, there was a tie in the 100 meters. Ties don't happen in track and field. It is unprecedented, but it was too close to call. So, to determine who will be the third place representative in the 100 meters on the women's side, they're having a runoff. It was coming down to whether it was going to be a coin flip or a runoff. They decided a runoff. It's going to happen Monday night, be carried live on NBC. That will coincide with the swimming coverage of the Olympic trials. So be sure to tune into that to see who gets to go to the Olympics in the 100 meters.
The last spot on the United States women's 100-meter squad is undecided because Allison Felix and Janeba Tarmo finished in a dead heat Saturday. They'll now decide who goes by either a runoff or a coin flip.
Unreal.
Wilbon, do you like the new Olympic motto, higher, stronger, faster, heads or tails?
No, I don't. And it can't end up.
So we're about 2 months away from the start of football season. Hang in there. It'll be here soon. There's also an interesting tidbit that Erin Andrews is leaving ESPN and will be the host of a new primetime college football program on Fox Sports. You know, Fox's college coverage left much to be desired in the past, so it's nice to see that happen. As for FishDuck.com, we've added a couple new writers this week that will be having their debut articles very soon on FishDuck.com, so keep an eye out for that. We also added a couple new social media sites to our repertoire. Those are available on the front page, including an Instagram feed. So if you like Instagram, you follow us on Twitter, be sure to check out our postings as we'll be posting various photos from Oregon's past. That leads into our big additions from the past week. 2 new sections on the website. We added a massive history of Oregon sports section on the site. This covers interviews, articles, videos, and it ties in with the other new part of FishDuck.com, our photo gallery. So be sure to check out both those areas. The photo gallery is broken down by decades, showcasing all the proud history of University of Oregon athletics. So check it out. As for new content on the site, Josh Schlichter took care of this week's FishDuck video this week. He did a fantastic job focusing in on how Oregon stays one step ahead of the opponents, looking at the 2010 USC game as an example. And for the one-on-one video this week, I interviewed Ryan Winter, co-host of the Sports Chat 503 videos. We had some interesting articles on the site this week too, including a fascinating article from our Coach's Corner from a guest writer, Coach Jason Farias. He's an offensive coordinator for a football team and an assistant coach for a women's football team in Massachusetts. And he shared his perspective of what it's like teaching the same sport to both genders. David Mello also interviewed one of the best punters in Oregon history, Josh Bidwell. Josh White recapped the current 8-game winning streak over the University of Washington. Kennard showed up with a just scathing shot across the bow against the Beavers. And Scott Reed of Duck Sports Authority provided another guest article showcasing how fans invariably become a valid part of the game. There's lots more, so be sure to scan through the front page or the directory to catch all the new content from this past week. And now, my random tweet of the week.
Hey, will you shut up?
Thank you.
Music recommendation time again this week. Time to introduce you to another awesome musical group that you may have missed. that I love. This week it's time to check out one of the best ska bands to come along in recent years, Boston's Westbound Train.
So sorry, I never took the time to show her what she was to me, 'cause I was so lonely, yeah, so lonely.
Led by trombonist vocalist Obi Fernandez's silky voice that's just perfect for ska music, Westbound Train released 2 albums on their own before signing with Hellcat Records and releasing their label debut in 2006, an album called Transitions. That was followed up in 2009 by Come and Get It. And we unfortunately haven't heard from the band since that 2009 album, but I certainly hope the Westbound Train may return someday with yet another record, because I find myself constantly revisiting Transitions and Come and Get It for another listen. What makes their sound so interesting is the way they manage to seamlessly blend different genres into ska and make it still sound so genuine. Their brand of ska is very reminiscent of the origins of ska and reggae from the early 1960s Jamaican sounds that were highly influenced by American doo-wop and soul. Particularly on their last record, Come and Get It, they created a sound that included elements of Motown soul, blended with blues and even jazz, while all coming into a distinctly ska style, making it a really fascinating and eclectic mix that makes for a great summer soundtrack. I love them. I hope you do too. Here's a song from that 2009 album, Come and Get It. This is called I Don't Belong Here.
The message, it was always crystal clear, but with the voices in my head I couldn't hear. Now there were broken hearts and promises might be here that don't belong here. No, not here. See, everyone just wants to have the chance to sing along, to sing their song, sing their song. I can't sing along 'cause I...
So that's it for me this week. The Olympic trials are wrapping up, and it won't be very long until we get to see Galen Rupp and Ashton Eaton and Rachel Yurkovich and Brianne Thiessen and Andrew Wheating and Matt Centrowitz and Nick Simons. All of our duckies out there competing in London for Olympic gold. Till next time, this is Kurt saying go fish, get hooked, go Ducks.
belong.